will get picks and bans up on your screen very shortly. But that's one way of dealing with the Ziggs, is first picking it. You don't have to ban it. On blue side, you can first pick it, because red side, pretty much they have so many high priority bans right now that you can't exactly target ban on red side. You can just about get away with it on blue, but you do let some powerful champions through.
Yeah, the Morgana is still open, and Thresh and Morgana are Hylasang's best champions, so I'm not expecting to see, with one of them banned out, the other one not be picked in this rotation, but we might see it. Does seem that they are not completely certain about what they want to be going for right now.
Interesting, with Elise having nerfs a couple of patches ago, everybody thought she sat at quite a nice spot. I was actually looking at a few tweets last night from a lot of the American junglers from LCS. I think Snoopy was involved.
Builds.
Yeah, they were discussing builds and how strong Elise is right now. So I'm kind of expecting to see it transition in. The Spectral Wraith style may start to become a little bit more apparent. We haven't had too much on 4.11 to actually see where things lie with regards to jungle items, but we may see that shift from Spirit Golem.
Yeah, you've always got to remember with respect to Elise, the more damage you get, the more fearsome your ganks actually become as well. So you always like to get that early AP, and you can always build a bit of tank later on. I believe they specifically in those tweets were discussing going for Sork Shoes early, Spectral Wraith, and then just a Giant's Belt on its own to cover that early weakness if you have built very high damage.
I'm a little bit wondering what Snow's going to pick here. I was checking his match history, and I kind of anticipating them to go AD carry support here and then leave it to that last pick to be his mid laner, because he's been playing a couple of different champions in some custom games that were on his match history, so they're public knowledge, so it doesn't matter whether they were scrims or not.
You're not leaking.
It means, I'm not leaking, but he's been playing a lot of Jace, typically into Orianna. But I wonder whether he'll go kind of like Jace against Ziggs. As kind of poke against poke, maybe kind of have that trade-off. He's been doing it in a couple of games. Obviously, match history, we're limited to 10 at the moment.
This may actually be part of why the Aurelia pick has been prioritized over the Morgana here, because she is actually one of the top lane bruisers that's very, very good against Jace. She's such an all-rounder. But normally, if you are in a matchup against Bruiser as Jace, you just knock them away every time they try and come in. And as long as you don't suffer from being too squishy early on, and not getting ganked into oblivion, which isn't too much of a problem in the current meta, you can get away with it. But now, of course, with Aurelia, less easy to do. Yeah,
well, it would actually be going on to Snow from alternate.
I'm being dumb,
mid lane. It's okay. It's fine.
Ignore me.
We're waiting for the top lane. What you were thinking about is
I was thinking about top lane Jace on the other team.
Yeah, and yes. Shyvana, I think, is probably what we're going to see here. But we may indeed see a different mid lane pick out of Snow. He may also just go kind of Orianna.
That could work.
It tends to be pretty good against Ziggs. There aren't too many picks that do amazingly well. To be honest, Unicorns of Love are going pretty standard here. There's nothing overly different about that composition.
Reasonably heavy on the dive at the moment, and that's understandable given what they're up against, Cogmore composition. And you were talking about Orianna, that would be a very, very sensible pick to go with this whole style. Lulu being probably the only mid laner who's a stronger, or if you run her mid lane, stronger peel champion for your Cogmore. They might lack alternate threats, though, in late game team fights if they went for it.
Yeah, waiting just to see what indeed alternate want to pick up. Alternate have actually got a different support player on Sensei here. I haven't seen too much from Sensei
sub,
either.
I believe
So. I don't know whether it's permanent or not, because he has been playing a couple of games over the last couple of days with alternate, from what I've seen. Again, I did the match history check, just saw what they were doing. Leaving it pretty late, which tells me that maybe Snow isn't 100% on what he wants to pick here. Because normally, on this last pick, you'd say, okay, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Orianna. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's the most sensible thing here. They've got a very strong all-around composition. They have the all-in potential with the Aurelia to carry the ball in, which isn't as bad as people sometimes think it is. You've got the Elise carrier, and you've obviously got the Cogmore. Big shockwave to try and keep everybody off the Cogmore as well, and the tidal wave, and the Nami just to get Cogmore through laning phase. So just very strong all-arounder, but Unicorns of Love have got the dive potential.
Yes, they do, and that may be a little problematic at times with Cogmore, but as you alluded to earlier, there is good peel. Orianna, Nami especially, is so good.
It's a
I just-
perfect synergy. between
Exactly.
these two.
Yeah, so good. And I was a little bit surprised we didn't see a lot of Nami yesterday, actually.
Yeah, just I hesitate to say that they forgot about it, but it is this weird thing sometimes where you have days where champions just get picked all the time or forgotten about. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking at it from the perspective of the players when they are choosing their champions, if you're not actively picking, you don't actually have a list of all the pictures of the champions in your head. There's over 100 of the damn things. It's quite easy to just not think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of thankfully have got to a little bit of a situation where it's not okay, if this is banned and this is being picked, I have one option.
Yes.
Which, for a while, we were in that. We had, if you remember, the Annie, Thresh, Leona
Yeah.
phase that
And
everybody went through.
Then Morgana happened.
And then Morgana happened, and then everyone was like, oh, okay, well, we can then... And then they released Braum, and then you can pick Zyra again.
Yep. Because now there's this, it's less of just a triangle of these three big champions, and now there's sort of little interlocking triangles of, Nami maybe beats Morgana, but maybe loses to Thresh, but then Thresh versus Morgana, and Morgana's still good, so are you going to just pick that and accept it if you get Nami'd? It's kind of a...
Yeah, and I
Kind of
feel
a-
like
kind of a mix.
the changes to AD carries somewhat have kind of affected that, because you've got that slightly prolonged laning phase, as well as the changes to towers and things like that. So a laning support has that little bit more of effect than it used to, when it was just kind of,
Yes.
well, you're here
Especially
to stun...
sustained support.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it used to be, well, you're here to stun people in the mid-game, and that's pretty much all it is. So, yeah, it's interesting, the bottom lane dynamics these days, but this is a pretty standard matchup right now.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned previously, it's the Cogmore meta. We in bot lane, we are seeing Cogmore once again. Still nobody banning him. I'm
Yeah,
surprised to see that.
I think it's one of those situations where, I mean, you can pick Caitlyn and kind of be okay. There's a lot of picks that you can just pick and be okay against Cogmore, as long as you don't feed him. It's one of those.
It's
I
just
don't
that
think he's
fear
banned.
of the late game is the
Yeah.
problem. But
Yeah, that is
we'll
the
see.
problem. But it's all on preventing Cog from getting to that point, because he does have a weaker laning phase than most other AD carries. So it's just about preventing that. But while we've got a couple of minutes while we're going through the delay period, make sure you guys have signed up to FACEIT on FACEIT.com. Only takes about 30 seconds, a minute. Just get yourself signed up there. You can link your League of Legends account, and then once we're either on a break or done for the evening, you guys can play that game. The at least one game that you need to play. Maybe you should play Jax. Maybe that'll increase your chances. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But at least you can kind of like channel it a little bit. Maybe channel your inner Pax Jax.
Yeah,
Skins
you
mean
might be
wins,
stretching it. That's not my experience. If anything, I would say skins mean losses typically.
Well, that's only because you've been
Because
playing
people-
with me a lot.
Well, you have too many skins, Stress. But a lot of people do this thing where they're like, I've bought a cool skin. Now I'm going to play that champion.
Yeah, I've
This
done
is
that
why
quite
it's
a bit.
perilous giving Arcade Hecarim to your friends, because he's quite a specific champion.
It's not as bad as giving out like Blitzcrank skins, and then
No, that
everybody-
is truly...
like that's the worst one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blitzcrank is a guilty pleasure of mine. I am awful at Blitzcrank. But he is very fun.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, head over to FACEIT, get signed up. We're giving away that Pax Jax as well as €20 of credit for G2A, so you can get
You could
even more
probably
skins.
buy Riot Blitzcrank with it.
I don't. Yeah, I think
I'd
they do have it.
probably.
That's another option. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Good
But
advantages.
we are into the loading screen here. Unicorns of Love going up against Alternate for our first game of the day. And River Spirit Nami. I keep forgetting that skin was released.
It's not a legendary, is it?
I don't believe so, no.
Because I thought it was. Because it had a login screen, didn't it?
I think you're right.
Because I was
I
very
can't
confused. Because
remember.
I think it might be the first one that didn't.
I'll be honest, it came out
That
when there
did
was like a big
wasn't a legendary.
set of releases. It was like right around the football ones, and there was a lot. And I kind of just used the Koi Nami skin anyway. Sorry, whoever designed River Spirit Nami. It's a lovely skin.
I prefer it. It's basically Koinami, but better.
I have Koi Nami though, is the problem. So
Yes,
I can't like bring
as opposed
myself.
to having River Spirit Nami. I could understand not having it, but inevitable pause. Okay, we can carry on
Yep.
talking about skins. No, but seriously, one thing I do want to highlight right now is Unicorns of Love if we end up in a mid-game dragon fight, it's going to be very difficult for Alternate to deal with. They should be trying to force that quite early on if they possibly can, because they not only have great catch potential, but they have enough long-range damage that's almost unavoidable with the Ziggs ultimate and the Caitlyn ultimate. They could actually pretty much force someone out of the fight before the fight even happens. That is actually quite a big factor if you are looking to force a dragon fight relatively early on. Of course, partly all this is going to be predicated on whether they can get that opportunity, whether they can, because you still, even if you force someone out, you still don't want to be 3v4 at dragon.
Yeah, indeed. And right, it is time for our first game of the day. We are on to Summoner's Rift. On the blue side, it is Unicorns of Love, as Koi and Vizichachi in that top lane go toe-to-toe. And on the red side, it is Team Alternate.
Yes, it is Sunny. No longer Sunny XX on the Cogmore, and actually a bit of an invade.
Has he been Sunny XX for a while? I don't remember.
He was at least at one stage.
Okay.
I think either that or it's a different Sunny.
No, it's the same Sunny, I believe.
Makes sense.
It's been a little while since he's had that in his name. But then again, when you go into games so often with players, like I bet it's the same at like Challenger players when they see new players and they're like, hey, "Who are you?" And it turns out you've been playing the games with them for like a year all along.
Yeah, actually that... I kind of wonder how everyone always seems to know who's smurfing on what account.
Friends tell friends.
But what if you just made an account and didn't tell anyone?
That would take a lot of self-restraint. You'd have to isolate yourself from the entire community.
I guess. But
Second chances.
you have to isolate yourself completely from the community to be like, to just not broadcast that you've made a smurf and you're playing on it. Doesn't really matter. But
some players do that.
That's true.
Some players do.
I mean, I guess the thing is, you wouldn't hear about it if they did.
Yeah, very true. But nevertheless, we are into game. It's a standard lane matchup. On Morgana.
Yeah, he is a very, very good support player. He's one of those supports, I want to say like Kasing, that does the plays. He makes big plays, and sometimes he lands hooks and things you just don't expect. See if he can capitalize it on it in this lane, but at the moment they don't have the all-in potential. They might be able to run Nami out of mana, though, at this rate.
Yeah, that would be a really nice spot. And you can see they're zoning already. Another nice Dark Binding. It's good trading, and they're still at level 2 when their opponents are level 1. So inevitably that will that period will end as it pushes into the turret. But still good pressure.
Yeah, indeed. And the other lanes aren't likely to show a big advantage either way. Irelia, small advantage early against Shyvana. We've seen it several times now this matchup, and that little bit of extra burstiness can be useful for her. And in the super late game, Irelia then actually starts to outscale her again in a one-on-one. But for most of the mid-game and into the late game, Shyvana will be the stronger 1v1 duelist, and also at like level 1 and 2, simply because Burnout does a ton of damage at level 1.
Yeah. When they decide to trade, there we go, right on cue.
But the burstiness on Irelia does give you that sort of, I'd say like 4 to 9-ish advantage, maybe.
Man, you can see Koi's going to have to lifesteal up quite a bit here in this early going. That's a lot of damage that Vizichachi managed to get off in that trade. Ooh, Dark Binding in the bottom lane again. Aqua Prison didn't quite land, but every time these bindings are landing, provided Hylasang isn't going too often with the bindings, it's just keeping check in that bottom lane.
Indeed. Right now, looks like we might actually have an Elise circling around. Has actually been seen though, so he's going to get it off anyway. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, Satchel Charge gets Ziggs away from that. Ooh, top lane is where the trade is. Neither of them have Ignite though, so both are just going to completely disengage.
But this is a scenario where Irelia is insanely strong. Low health fight, she's slightly lower than her opponent, but she's actually out of pots here, so she's not going to be able to stay in. Going to try and get the TP off. The thing is, though, Equilibrium Strike is a long stun, and if you've only got 400 health in total, Irelia will take that off you very, very quickly.
Yeah, kind of just want to stick around up here. Vizichachi, I do not expect to dive this. Remember, we're on 4.11. Towers now do considerably more damage. So even though you're a Shyvana with 200 health more than your opponent at that time, not a good dive.
She was sustaining herself up remarkably quickly. I kind of wonder what she's running. Probably just some health regen in the masteries, the perseverance, because of course it gives you more when you're lower.
Let's take a quick look. Let's have a look. 6%
Lifesteal.
at the moment.
Was lifesteal.
Well, double Dorans, so
That makes sense. She bought while I wasn't looking. I was looking, because I looked at her before when she was sustaining. I think she's sustaining up awfully fast. Then you check the items, and she's actually got
It's
that.
okay.
But it doesn't make sense. It does make sense that she's got that. I'm sad.
it's okay. You know, there's only been lifesteal on Dorans for about a week or so. It's not too long. It's
A week.
2 weeks. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here.
I don't. It's okay, Stress. You're only making yourself look as bad as I am.
Fair enough.
Yeah. There's not really much else to say to that, is there?
No, but I guess it's time maybe to focus a little bit on the game again, because it's a fairly even start today. There is a big CS, well, a sizable CS disparity in that bottom lane. Somewhat expected with Cog against Caitlyn, but it's middle lane where the first gank is really going to come off. And again, Satchel Charge just gets Ziggs out of it.
Neither jungler having really much impact at all. We did see iNightmare heading up top briefly just to keep an eye on things when that low health Aurelia was up there, just in case Jarvan was around. But other than that, there really hasn't been a lot achieved by either of them.
I mean, when you look at the lanes, there's not the greatest amount of kill potential this early on in the game. I mean, top laners are going to trade a lot, but as we've already seen, neither have Ignite, so neither is really going to want to go in, apart from when you hit 6 before your opponent. But saying that, straight away, Aurelia hits 6 as well.
He's actually having quite a bit of trouble here, though, so I would expect Aurelia around now to actually have a little bit of an edge, just because that Transcendent Blades is such a strong skill at this stage, and she's actually setting up for the gank here. This could be strong.
Could be. They force out the Dragon's Descent. Cocoon actually landed. Wow, in goes Koi onto Vizicachi as well, but that will call the end of that. Teleport's still available, so even though Koi will be able to catch up a little bit of the CS between the two, it's going to quickly be turned around.
Yeah, she's just going to be able to farm up, though. She can get her health back, Aurelia. Her mana, however, might become an issue in the long run there. If she's trapped in that lane with Shyvana shoving her up continually, she'll be stuck there with no way to activate hit end style.
No attempts on Dragon, of course, this early on, because we're in standard matchups. So it's more difficult than it previously has been on patches to actually get the room to go and do Dragon.
You can't... The thing is, as well, because you can't get many kills in these matchups, you then don't create the disparity between the teams, which then enables you to tank the Dragon and not worry about the enemy team. But still a Transcendent Blades available. Koi is playing this quite defensively, though, clearly very scared. And in fairness, that's understandable, because I don't think they've seen Jarvan in minutes at this point.
Yeah, he has been sticking around in the jungle. He's had himself about a 10 CS lead for a couple of minutes here. So, I mean, it's a farm game right now. There's not really too much else to say out of both of these teams. They've picked lanes that really aren't going to do too much for the first 10 minutes or so. But I have a feeling that Jarvan and Ziggs heading up towards the top side. Koi is actually, wow, going to die 1v1 to Vizicachi.
Yeah, just straight up did not expect the damage from Shyvana, but that's a little bit foolhardy, honestly. And we did see her there, maybe hanging onto the Transcendent Blades for too long, not using it to wave clear, not using it to back, because yes, she didn't have teleport.
Oh, ace in the hole. It's one auto attack, but what? Oh, the ebb and flow comes out from Sensei, keeps him alive, but it's Sensei that's now in trouble. Hylasang backs away from the fight as Vardags picks up that kill on Tanami.
It's still okay. Mega Inferno Bomb.
Fooled me too.
iNightmare gets out. However, Sensei did sacrifice his life for the privilege. Shockwave!
Shockwave lands onto Hylasang, flash forward out of Snow, but puts himself in. Hylasang, what were you doing? Oh my goodness, Snow now dropping very low as well as Aniki picks up the kill.
Kinda worth it, I guess. Support for a mid laner. Although I'm not entirely sure Hylasang had to die for the privilege of killing the mid laner, but he can still say worth in his head.
One issue now is they've reset the blue buff on Ziggs.
Yes.
which blue buff Ziggs, that's pretty much as happy as Ziggs is going to be.
Yeah, he will push and shove and push and shove and push and shove. Maybe the thing is, Orianna, even though she doesn't have her blue buff, she's got her chalice now, she's got double door, and she can sustain, she can clear. She might lose out on a couple of CS, but it's not like Ziggs is going to push up and then roam around and destroy the game for Koi.
Oh, Dragon's Ascent in that top lane. Koi is trying to trade again, and
He's kind of getting wrecked.
yeah, it's not going well in this top lane for Koi. This is a little bit maybe more one-sided than you'd expect this matchup to be.
Yeah, I don't normally see the Shyvana winning this matchup quite as hard as this, or from quite such an early stage as this. And it looks like Nightmare really wants something to happen. It's just insane.
Vardags did drop very low from that.
They still have the tidal wave. If Black Shield is forced, they can make something happen in bot lane from quite a long distance.
Yeah, that pretty much this one living artillery after the tidal wave would do it. They'd at least get flash or the heal when you look at it. That low, they're forced to heal.
Yeah, and that's why Vardags is now making sure that...
Oh, Cataclysm top lane as Koi is caught a little bit, but look at the damage turned back around from Transcendent Blades. Dan forced out over the wall.
Yeah, it's very, very squishy at this stage on the Jarvan. But like I said, Vardags did know about the threat of the tidal wave, managed to get the wave shoved out without dying, and has hence gone back.
Koi's trying to dive in the top lane.
Is
Has Dan
brave.
very low, but without Transcendent Blades, it's going to be Elise that comes to clean this up. Dan pretty much knows he's a goner and tries to keep Koi under the turret. Doesn't get the next turret shot, and Visage actually may be in trouble. But being that close with over 200 health will be okay. But look at the roam coming out from Aniki. The ultimate comes out. He's going to pick up Koi. And now Nightmare, he's going to get away. But Aniki makes the roam worth it.
That was, to steal a phrase, from downtown. Like, he did not have precise vision. He was kind of just tracking through the fog of war where his opponent was going to be. And, of course, guessed it correctly, but... it's going to be a little bit further behind for Aurelia against Shyvana.
Yeah, that's a really important roam, though. Now Ziggs at 2-0 is at a good spot. He's going to have that Athene's finished, has had it for a minute or so now. So well on the way to that next item. Let's take a look at the gold. Yeah, 800 gold on him, so probably going to see a little bit more damage coming out of him. But the damage coming out of Sunny is pretty impressive right now, and you can see Ebb and Flow. I actually want to check what indeed is being maxed. It is Ebb and Flow that is being maxed on Nami, which I think in this lane matchup is actually pretty smart. There's so much poke.
Yeah, if you need sustain, definitely max the W.
Tidal Wave, Hylasang will just Black Shield that off top lane. There is a lot of damage on Koi as well. We'll swap over to that
No.
just a second. Vizichachi is going to dive under the turret, gets stunned up on bottom lane. The engagement looks like it had ceased, so Koi falling in the top.
Yeah, he went back in that, and I have no idea why.
Hylasang is just face-tanking the damage from Sunny with Soul Shackles complete. It locks and locks them down. The Acathian Surprise will give the movement speed, so it's going to get the kill and actually caught damage onto Vardags as well there. And that is going to be the ace in the hole.
So, Hylasang there, good decision making. He knew he was going to die. That was why he went so ham. That was why he just sat on them with the Soul Shackles, because he knew at worst it was a 1-for-1 trade. High chance of getting a 2-for-1, and that is exactly what happened for them there. So Vardags is left with quite a significant advantage over the Kog'Maw here, and the team in general might be able to just get this dragon here. Orianna has just recalled from Wraiths.
Unicorns of Love, again, every time we see them in the FACEIT Invitationals, they're always putting on a show here, and they are a good way ahead right now. They're about going to be at the end of that nearly 5,000 gold in the lead. That's a considerable lead. Considering how close this game was, up until about the 7 or 8 minute mark, that's a big lead to have been built in the last 5 minutes.
And it's focused in all the right places as well.
Yeah.
Jarvan right now, there is something I should say about Dan and his Jarvan here that we've seen in the past. Back at MCM, he may not have been being super serious back then because he wasn't on like a challenger team at the time or playing for, or was that a different Dan actually? Wait, that might be me. There are 2 UK Dans that play League. I won't talk about that.
Vizicachi is dropping pretty low. I'm pretty sure there's more than 2 people called Dan in the UK that
Well, I mean,
but I know what you mean.
Online, yeah.
Cocoon lands onto Vizicachi. That's a pretty cut and dry kill. And interesting enough, Nightmare is actually building the Spectral Wraith. So what I've kind of heard is the build path right now is Spectral Wraith, Haunting guys, and then build tank. Which is not too much of a departure.
But this was the thing. This was the tweet chain. I think St. Vicious was arguing against that path.
I think so, yeah, if I remember rightly. I know it was definitely between Snoopy and St. Vicious, but yeah, there was a lot of discussion on that yesterday, which will be interesting to see how it affects NALCS. I said LCS, but then realized that neither of them actually play in LCS anymore. But they work with their respective teams.
Team now. He may re-qualify one day.
They work with their respective LCS teams.
Yeah.
So it just seems weird to think
It is.
those 2 names aren't in LCS anymore.
Well, we're approaching the end of several eras at this point, aren't we?
I know.
With the Gambit changes.
It almost feels wrong. Almost.
But not enough.
But then again, if you've ever followed... Oh, Nightmare's actually dropping very low. Nice rappel gets him out, and the tidal wave hadn't quite caught on. The bomb comes out from Ziggs and is massive as Vardax picks up another as well.
And that is the huge ranged burst that Unicorns of Love have. Getting those 2 kills there also means they should be able to get this tower.
Oh, Shockwave's going to hold an Iki under the tower, however, it isn't tanking it up yet. It's Dan that actually is taking the damage.
Yeah, so the point I did want to make earlier before I got confused about Dan's is that the other Dan played Jarvan and always built super high damage even when he was behind. That's when he himself was behind on an individual basis. This game, that is absolutely unnecessary for this Dan to do, and I'm hoping he goes tanky now.
Funnily enough, Dan with Unicorns of Love, and again, it may be the same Dan, it may be a different one. Unfortunately,
I can't
it's
remember.
difficult to remember. They actually both have the same characteristic on building damage. I've casted Unicorns of Love, and he's continued to build damage the entire time.
There are times where it's a perfectly valid build.
Yeah, but as you were alluding to, this is not one of them.
He has no need. They have so much damage everywhere else, and if he's just the initiator, that will work out for them. Of course, right now, doesn't look like it matters either way because they are rolling through the towers and building up, what, 7,000 gold now?
Yeah, about that. That's a big, big lead here this early
17 minutes.
Yeah, 17 minutes.
I gotta say, I really didn't like the way Coyd played his lane either. It really didn't come off well.
A little bit peculiar as to hold Transcendent Blaze for too long, but Nightmare, takes so much damage. That is the problem with this slightly more damage build out of Elise. That's massive damage comes out from an Iki. Is Icathian surprised? Oh, forces the flash. Now, even though I didn't get the kill, it's good enough.
Riot, please buff Cogmore so that he can flash in Icathian surprise.
No.
Please do.
Just no. I'm actually gonna check how much damage Icathian surprise is doing, which means I have to go to a corpse for a second. Oh, it just says dealing damage. Great. Thanks for the tooltip, Riot.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's actually an unlisted component. It doesn't even say this, but the Cogmore actually gains movement speed.
Yes, we had this discussion. It was you and I were talking about this. It's not on the tooltip either. You gain 40% movement speed over time while in Icathian Surprise. So for everybody that's like, how does Cogmore always catch me? It doesn't say it on the passive. That's how Cogmore catches you.
He's actually going faster. It's not just your imagination.
Please, 4.12, updated tooltip to correctly match ability.
It wouldn't be that hard. I mean, they just got to notice it.
It'd be nice to have, because the damage scales with level as well. I think it's like 10 times level plus a base amount of damage, if I remember rightly. I was looking into it when I was checking the movement speed, and I thought, it's not the most amount of damage, but it does scale up fairly well. Dan tries to steal it.
Nearly got it.
Nearly gets it. Neither jungler wanted to smite that. Nightmare didn't actually have his, so yeah. Today you learned about Icathian Surprise, but not that much because we didn't have exact values to give you.
No. You can always look them up on the wiki, but not the client.
Oh dear.
But doesn't really matter. Okay, I couldn't see Elise there, but did not get hit by the Dark Binding this time. Easy red steal though. Unicorns of Love starting to squeeze the life out of Alternate here. They know they've got the control. If they can catch Snow...
Oh my, that damage.
One bomb.
One bomb just took over a third of Sensei's health off. That's a lot of damage.
4-0-2. 200 CS. He's above the minute for now.
For now, yeah, 200 at 2.
He's behind the
20.
minute.
Yeah, unfortunately.
He'll
That,
be above
that
it in
does
a
kind of
sec.
happen. And Iki has been caught, and Koi looks to go in, but look, he's pretty much 1v4 at that point. The rest of the team were not committing to that.
And at this point, Irelia is not tanky enough to really be team fighting. But because he's done so poorly in lane, he also isn't strong enough to be split pushing. So he's really stuck in this awkward situation where he's only good if they get a small skirmish and he can try and focus down someone squishy who's out of position. Alternate weren't looking for the dragon.
Oh, Frost
Good
Queen's
setup.
claim has been used. Snow is going to get caught here. The shockwave was used, and I think actually caught a couple. Koi goes in, manages to get Aniki there, but look at the damage coming
Two
out of
crits.
Vardags. Gets 2 crits in a row, doesn't have Ace in the hole to follow up, but it is going to be a tower going down for Unicorns of Love.
Yep, and this is one of the lesser appreciated parts of Jarvan here, of course. Although they are going to have to wait for the minions. But he does give that attack speed buff to your entire team. So when you're blobbing up as 5 people, that is a huge amount of stats for your skill.
There you go. There's the attack speed.
He was holding on to it to threaten away Sunny, but he didn't need to do that.
Yeah. They managed to get that. Alternate now continue to be on the back foot. Wow, they're actually nearly 12,000 gold down.
They are bleeding. Bleeding
Every time I
fast.
check, it's way
Worse.
more than it was the
Yeah.
last time.
They are just losing on every front. They're losing on kills, they're losing on objectives, they're losing on jungle buffs, they're losing out on vision. And actually at the moment, they are kind of missing a trick in that they should really be warding right here, right now in their own jungle, because they actually have some control.
So, pardon my ignorance, Chalice of Harmony and Forbidden Idol, is that an Ardent Sensor? I can't remember what...
No, I think that's Mikhail's now.
Oh yeah, it's
'Cause they
Mikhail's.
changed it.
Sorry, I keep forgetting Mikhail's is that. That'll show my ignorance. Show how much I play support.
One day we will see Ardent Sensor when they buff it.
But hey, I said they're gonna bring Tristana. Next one's gonna be Janna. Janna's gonna come
I could
back.
see a Janna.
I've
genuinely
been
see it.
only playing Janna, so I should know what Ardent Sensor actually does. But if you've ever seen a tower attack with extra movement speed, it looks wrong.
He gets extra AD as well with Janna.
Yeah, it just looks wrong to have it attacking 25% faster.
Yeah. Or gaining 25% attack speed, which is... Actually, no, for a tower it'd be exactly the same, wouldn't it? They've only got the base attack speed, they don't have any bonus.
Yep. Oh, Dark Binding has landed. The bomb follow-up was in the initial placement, however. It looks like they want to chase onto this. Dan has been locked down, and Cataclysms his way onto Snow, and Nightmare flashes out over the wall, so they are trapped in place for that teleport. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Dragon's Descent lands onto Nightmare alone, but look at the damage coming out. It's a double kill already out of Aniki. There is the 3rd kill. That's ones for Vardags. Aniki tries to get away from the Acathian supplies, but takes the damage anyway.
Too fast. Couldn't keep the distance there, but it doesn't really matter. They just got another 3-for-nothing trade overall, and it's really now looking like curtains for Alternate. If they lose this inhib tower here, I see no plausible way for them to get back into this game.
Hydersang nearly getting caught out here. Snow will get slowed down. There is the inhib tower going down, so it is not going to be the inhibitor. It cannot push past that Orianna right now, but it's pretty much a case of just going back, buying up 2,000 gold onto Ziggs. They may end up losing a mid tower here just if Alternate really wanted to push it quickly. But to be honest, that's the tiniest of
whatever
consolation.
shall we do?
Exactly. It would be Alternate's first tower of the game. And actually, Koi, Dan's timing there just moves out. And Koi survives. Had that been a second later, that could have been a dead Irelia.
I like Dan's halfway house here, actually, still. He's gone for double Doran's Blade as a jungler, which is quite unusual, but if you are just looking to be that little bit tankier while also still doing a little bit of extra damage, I think that is a pretty good middle ground. And he has also gone for Randuin's after that, but frankly, There's this weird thing where if you're snowballing ahead as a jungler, more damage is good because it means you gank harder and it makes you much more difficult to deal with. But then once you get beyond a certain point, you have so much damage that you can build tanky and they can't possibly kill you, and you still have huge ground.
Yeah, it's one of those nuances of how to snowball on certain champions from the jungler. From the jungle.
Jarvan in particular has good synergy with AD.
He does. And I still feel like Javan's more of a European champion than North American.
I haven't seen him in North America, as far as I can recall.
I think he was... Oh, Sunny takes a lot of damage. I think he was played in North America, but it was played Dexter. So I don't know... Or Amazing, and I don't know whether that counts. I still very much hold on to the fact that they're European players.
They are, realistically. They will become less European as time goes by, and if they're in there for years, they may go all hamburgers and
apple pie.
On us.
Apple pie and freedom.
Yeah, we don't like freedom here.
Well, certainly Alternate don't have a lot of freedom right now. They are caught in their base. Ace in the hole comes out. Sunny takes a lot of damage. And that is going to be an inhibitor going down pretty much. The Cocoon has landed onto Vizicachi, but look at how tanky he is. He's actually going to turn this right around onto Koi, and Aniki takes down the inhibitor. And that's all they got to do here, and now they're going to back out and likely head to securing Baron.
Yep, they've got complete vision control over it, and Alternate are so far behind that even if they come and try and stop Unicorns of Love at the Baron itself, then odds are they would lose even if Unicorns of Love just turned around and disengaged. So I'm actually not sure why they're not going for the Baron. They could certainly see and respond in time for Alternate, but opting not to, playing it safe, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things they could go for Baron, and it would end the game a little bit quicker.
But they don't need.
But yeah, they don't actually need Baron. If they're so far ahead.
Pardon? But this is risky, though, because they're still sieging. Like, this is as good a chance as any Alternate is going to get, with Ziggs already on half health, with Shyvana already on 2/3 health.
That is true. I mean, sieging without Baron is considerably harder. I think right now they're just waiting for middle lane to push out, but they continue to siege. Fardax has actually been caught. This is what they got to be careful of. Tidal Wave comes through, but Alternate can't close the gap, and that is a big part of the engage of Alternate that is not going to be available now.
Yeah, because Koi's jump is not quite long enough range for him to safely get that ball in on this kind of a comp from Unicorns of Love. If he can, you can see he's trying, then it could be really, really good for them. But if he does, it's going to have to be some kind of really clever ploy onto a minion.
Oh, Ultima comes out from Ziggs. Koi goes in. Shockwave does complete, but it's only really Vizicachi that got tagged by a lot of the damage. Icathian Surprise will not get the damage on anybody. And, oh, Snow's caught a little bit on the wrong side of that minefield, but manages to get himself out of there alive. The problem is, 2 members are dead.
Yep, 2 for nothing. And, of course, Unicorns of Love are still going to be very happy. Halasang he's a brave support.
I'm not sure that teleport was overly necessary, but then again, the game is pretty much over.
He wants to be there. He was part of this, man. Would you deny him his photo finish?
Well, it was more that they were just keeping the minion alive, I think.
Yeah, I think he got the wrong minion if he wanted to make it tankier.
Yeah, that's a good point. However, both inhibitors down, so only the bottom one remains. And Unicorns of Love are actually sticking around for a while here. Again, 2,000 gold on Aniki. Are they going to go for the Baron now?
This is a nonsensical time to go for it compared to when they could have gone for it before, but it doesn't matter because they're 18k ahead.
Yeah, they're 18k ahead. Alternate are trapped in their base, so there's not actually any chance that they can get out and contest that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, do we go for the 99% chance of winning or the 99.9% or 99.1, I guess?
You know, that Baron felt like they were just taking like just a regular jungle buff. The fact that it's like, oh, we're backing, we'll just get blue on the way. Yeah. We'll just get Baron on the way.
It's fine. Why? You know, don't need to fear it. It's just this weird purple eye snake thing, mouth snake thing. What?
Nothing.
What are you? What
19
are you
kills
like
to 5 here. Oh, they just missed the blue buff timing. Because it's actually an EQ that's going to go off for that. But Dragon is going to fall as well. This is just Unicorns of Love wrapping up the game. They want to take everything.
They
and then
really do.
win the game.
I kind of want to see how much damage Zigzalt is doing right now.
Let's take
I want to see how
look
much
at
health
that.
Nami has.
I'm going to go... It means I don't actually get to follow the action for a little while. That's 1,095 damage.
All right, so I'm guessing that'll be 2/3. I mean, that's only the inner ring, I guess.
Nami
Kinda
right
hard.
now, I can't actually read. I think it's 1,500, but Snow is going to get caught here, and it doesn't matter exactly how much damage it's doing, because it absolutely shreds through the health bars of Alternate. Look at the damage coming out here. Hylasang, Soul Shackles does lock on to Elise, and they're taking down the inhibitor towers. They've already got the inhibitor down. They could probably just face tank it, but I guess Visachachi is pretty low here, so they do have to wait for the minions.
I'm not sure they...
There we go. I was kind of...
Aniki was not waiting for the minions.
Yeah, wasn't waiting. It was a bit of a formality, though, of just closing the game out at that point.
Yeah, you've got to say, actually, this entire game was very much a case of Unicorns of Love snowballing and Alternate having no answer.
Yeah, I mean, the composition out of Alternate was
They had the
a
late
late game composition, but that's the problem with late game compositions is if you don't get there,
Yes.
it doesn't work.
And they just didn't seem to know how to stem the tide. Because Unicorns of Love just rolled from objective to objective to objective and kept taking everything, kept killing them on the way. And by the time they were 7k ahead, I think it was pretty much already over at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that bottom lane, and while Kog'Maw maybe could have done worse in that lane, Hylasang's pressure as Morgana just kind of makes that laning phase that little bit more difficult for Kog'Maw than it normally is. And it wasn't the biggest disparity in the bottom lane, but certainly they could have, if they'd have had a better time in lane, if they'd have maybe got a kill or just been safer in that lane, they could have maybe made it work. But there was just too much from middle lane that really was starting to affect the kills. Like the roams from Ziggs to get kills in top lane just made it that they had to bring Cog to the fights.
Because what we see from a lot of the best AD carries at the moment right now is that you see from, for instance, Yuki yesterday on Kog'Maw, is he went completely even on in lane. He was on the same CS. Sometimes he would drop low on health, but he'd usually be able to sustain himself back up. He'd be able to get his farm, he'd get through the lane, and the kill potential now around that level 6, level 7, level 8, 9 kind of period is now actually lower because Bloodthirster was much stronger than it is now, and also everyone is less bursty as a result of that. So as long as you are careful with the Kog'Maw, there is usually no reason to end up dead in the straight on 2-on-2, or even really falling behind since you've got the 700 range farming.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think a good point is that the next game coming up
Yes.
should be a real treat. Should be interesting as well, because it's H2K going up against NIP.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about this a little bit after the break, but H2K haven't been in too many tournaments recently, and NIP have gone through their roster change. So I know everybody's excited and looking forward to getting to that match. So we will be back in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you head over to FACEIT.com, get yourself signed up while we are on the break, and you can be in with a chance of our giveaway from our friends at G2A. And we'll give you more information on that when we return. So when we come back in just a couple of minutes, it's Ninjas in Pyjamas against H2K.